Something I'd always encourage everybody who's learning how to paint to do is to get outside and paint. Not just staying in the studio, but out there where you've got any number of painting subjects. Now, if you do a landscape, that's a good way to start. You've got things under your control, it's nice and straightforward. But here's something that is a little bit more challenging, doesn't appeal to everybody, but I'd still encourage you to have a go at it. And that is to sketch or draw, paint in a situation where there's a lot going on. Even if you feel a bit uncomfortable, even a little bit worried about people watching what you're doing, on the whole, people are terribly impressed because the majority of people, don't forget, they don't know how to draw or paint at all. So don't be afraid. Take courage in both hands and say, right, I'm going to get out and draw something where there's lots of action. Now, this one I'm going to give you an example of here in a minute, you'll see a video in a moment, was when I went to a choir practice of a choir called the Fairhaven Singers in Cambridge. It just so happens I know somebody in the choir. And I went along to the dress rehearsal of one of their big concerts, public concerts, and obviously I asked first and said, can I do some drawing? And here are some of the things that I did. But can I just say this? This is just one example of an activity, action kind of setup, but it could be any number of other things. Now, tomorrow, I'm going to go down to the river in Cambridge because I know there's a big rowing race and there's going to be lots of rowers out there. They're going to be rowing like mad and there's going to be a fair amount of chaos. I'm going to get in there and do some sketching. So there's another situation, but there are many others. It could be car racing, it could be shopping centre, it could be a picnic, all kinds of things. It's just about anything that you can think of where there's action, a sailing event, lots of things where you can get in, and because lots of things are moving, you have to sort of keep things fairly loose and let the impressions that are forming on you as you see these things, try and get them onto the paper. If it's not quite right, if it doesn't look right, don't worry. Take some photographs as well and you'll enjoy yourself. That's the main thing, you'll enjoy yourself. And if you take some photographs, you'll come back and you might be able to make something of your drawings. Now, here in this particular case, I was doing drawings using pastel, and here's a few examples. In fact, then most of the ones that you'll see me do live, or some of them you'll see me do live on the video that follows. These are all done on what I call newsprint paper, and they're all with charcoal. There we go, that is pretty much the whole lot. I gave some of these, by the way, to the Fairhaven Singers as a sort of a bit of a thank you, and they auctioned them off, a fundraising thing for their own activities, and I think they raised £100 or so. Well, I was happy and they were happy. When you go out to do this sort of thing, think in advance about what you might need. Here in my hand, dropping all the bits on the floor as usual, is my little tin box which has got my charcoal pencils in. Now, I've dropped them on the floor as usual, but there's a stick of charcoal which can break and be a bit messy, and when you're in a situation like that, when I was in a college chapel, I didn't really want a lot of mess. I also wanted something very simple. I know the authorities there would not have liked me to have been painting with anything wet because of the old building and all the other paraphernalia. But charcoal was fine. So think when you do this sort of thing, just think ahead about the kind of materials you might need. Obviously the paper, which I've thought, well, what would be most suitable. I've got a little fibre board here with a few clips on, and I think that through in advance. So here I selected my pencils, and I knew that I would have the right sort of thing in that painting situation. So, having said all that, you've prepared in advance, you've thought what you might need, because in this case it had to be very, very simple and straightforward. Then off I went with the minimum amount of equipment that I needed, and I'm ready to sketch. So have a look and enjoy what I did when I actually got into St John's College Chapel and had a go at sketching the choir practice. I'm in the College of St John's College in Cambridge. Can't speak too loudly because there's a practice going on for a concert tonight, and I've been asked to do some sketching of this, and you can hear the voice right now in the distance of Emma Kirkby, who is one of the most famous sopranos, well, I guess in the world, and she's singing tonight. So I've got the privilege of going walking wherever I like and sketching whatever I want. So here's the scene. So this is a pretty impressive scene just behind me here, and I'm going to get a little bit closer. I've taken some reference photographs, and I've already sat down, done some sketching in Conte pencil, taken some reference photographs, but I should have plenty of time because they're here till about 6 o'clock, and so I should be able to do plenty of sketching. What I can't do is draw and film at the same time. Gotta be quiet. See you in a bit.